time in Major League Baseball. Hi, I'm Amber Wilson, and welcome to Fantasy Baseball Weekly presented by Levitra All-Star Special. With the Midsummer Classic on Tuesday, we've got a couple of extra days to set our Week 15 lineups, so today we'll just concentrate on Fantasy All-Stars. That's right, we throw out all the ballots and the popularity contest that will go on in San Francisco and look at nothing but the numbers, a real look at who's the best at every position. So let's get started with the American League. Our leading vote getter in the American League is Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod is probably the comeback fantasy player of the year in 2007 after falling from the top spot overall to the middle of the first round of most drafts. He is putting up Triple Crown type numbers in New York. His 28 homers and 80 RBI are tops in either league, even with a 0 for 19 slump as of late. The starting shortstop is not Yankee teammate Derek Jeter, but rather Orlando Cabrera of the Los Angeles Angels in a very tight race. Cabrera is 2-1-2 in the 5 rotisserie categories when stacked up against Derek Jeter, and since Cabrera went later in drafts than the Yankee captain, Cabrera is a beneficiary of some West Coast bias. The rest of the infield sorts out this way. David Ortiz benefits from interleague play to get eligible at first base. He edges out 2006 MVP Justin Morneau. Brian Roberts' power numbers are a little down, but not his speed. His 26 steals leads the American League. And Carlos Guillen is one of 5 Tigers on the AL All-Star team. He also makes our AL Fantasy All-Star team at the corner infield position with his near .330 average and 61 driven in. The American League outfield is stacked with huge talent putting up huge numbers. Maglio Ordonez is hitting almost .370 with 13 homers and 68 driven in, and Vlad Guerrero joins him with .327, 14 homers and 74 RBI. They're together in the outfield and should both be up there when the AL MVP voting takes place this offseason. The Fantasy All-Star lineup looks exactly like the one that will make the trip to San Francisco, with Ichiro centering the Vlad Mags outfield. He's on pace to set a career-high RBI. Gary Sheffield survived a cold April and is one of the hottest hitters over the last couple of months. He's on pace for a career-high in runs scored with the Tigers, and Torrey Hunter's speed and power makes him the DH of our fantasy squad. The toughest task for an All-Star game manager is probably naming the starter. A combination of ego, politics, seniority, and many other things go through the mind of the skipper before he gives the ball to his starting hurler. For us, it's easy. We just look at the numbers, and our fantasy AL starter is without a doubt the A's Dan Herron. Herron hasn't lost a game since April 7th. He's 10-2 with a 2.2 ERA for the Athletics and the #1 starter in the American League over the Indians' CC Sabathia, who has already matched his 2006 win total with 12 for the first-place Indians. And if the AL is winning the game, we'd give the ball to J.J. Putz, who hasn't given up an earned run since early May. He's 24 for 24 in save opportunities so far this season. The rest of the staff works out this way, with Johan Santana, Josh Beckett, John Lackey, and Justin Verlander rounding out the starters. K-Rod and Jonathan Papelbon join Putz in the bullpen. They have 3 blown saves combined. So that's the American League. When we return, we'll take a look at the senior circuit and which of the talented crop of shortstops made the cut. Stick around. You're watching Fantasy Baseball Weekly, presented to you by Levitra.
When my doctor told me my high blood pressure may have led to my erectile dysfunction, I was surprised. But then he said there was something I could do.
When I found out my diabetes could have led to my ED, I learned there was help.
My doctor told me about Levitra.
Levitra is clinically proven to work for men with ED, even those with high blood pressure or diabetes. Levitra is only for men healthy enough for sexual activity. If you have heart problems or are on alpha blocker therapy, talk to your doctor before taking Levitra. Do not take Levitra if you take nitrates for chest pains, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing and stuffy or runny nose. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience an erection lasting longer than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Levitra and call your doctor right away.
Doctors know Levitra helps treat ED, even in men with high blood pressure.
And in men with diabetes.
Over 1 million men just like me have already taken Levitra.
You should talk to your doctor about Levitra.
The more you know about ED, the more you'll want to know about Levitra.
Welcome back to Fantasy Baseball Weekly, presented by Levitra All-Star Special. And now we turn our attention to the National League, where you can basically make an all-star team just by using the shortstop position. The National League has Jose Reyes, Hanley Ramirez, Jimmy Rollins, Edgar Renteria, and now J.J. Hardy playing short, and we can only bring 1 shortstop and 1 middle infielder to our Fantasy All-Star team, so let the snubbing begin. Jose Reyes gets the start here for us over Hanley Ramirez and Jimmy Rollins. He's the best roto shortstop with his major league leading 42 steals to go along with his 59 runs scored and 34 driven in. But Hanley Ramirez is giving him a run for best shortstop in head-to-head leagues. He's got a higher average, more homers, and more runs scored than Reyes as he gets shuffled through the Marlins lineup. The rest of the infield shapes up this way, with Ramirez and Reyes teammates Miguel Cabrera and David Wright getting the nod at third, and corner infield and Chase Utley's 130 RBI pace is enough to keep him atop our second baseman rankings. On the last day of voting, enough Giants fans got together to vote in Barry Bonds to start in the All-Star game. He's hitting over 300 for the first time since 2004, and his power seems to be fully restored as he chases Henry Aaron's all-time home run mark. But it wasn't enough to get him into our fantasy All-Star outfield, where the NL's leading hitter Matt Holliday, Carlos Lee, free agent to be Eric Burns, Adam Dunn, and Ken Griffey Jr. all have earned recognition. Adam Dunn could be a fantasy all-star on the move in the second half as his name appears in many trade rumors. It might be good for him to get on a contender, but bad for him to leave a hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati. Jake Peavy is our National League starter, bouncing back from a tough 2006. He's taken the guidance of Greg Maddux, and he has responded with a 9-2 record with an ERA around 2. He's the most dominant of dominating crop of National League hurlers. Brad Penny's ERA has been under 2 for much of the 2007 season and has only lost 1 game this season. Cole Hamels is second to only Jake Peavy in strikeouts in the National League, and John Maine has really been a surprise, helping the Mets rotation stay afloat without Pedro Martinez help through the first half of the season. That's it for our All-Star Special here on Fantasy Baseball Weekly. A bit of a programming note, we'll have the Week 15 planner ready for you on Monday as we all have a couple of extra days to prepare for the abbreviated week. Thanks for watching Fantasy Baseball Weekly presented by Levitra. Enjoy the All-Star break, and if you missed anything here, stop, refresh, and rewatch. I'm Amber Wilson.